Nothing at all. An English narration adaptation of Yumeno Kyusaku's Nandemonai from Shōjo Jigoku / Hell of Girls, 1936. A letter arrives, one doctor writing to another. It begins like this. I'm sorry to trouble you with such a strange letter. The young woman who worked for me, Yuriko, has killed herself. That's the whole plot, really. A nurse is dead. A letter explains it. Except the letter doesn't explain anything. It circles. It backtracks. It introduces a stranger in black who appears out of nowhere holding a suicide note. It describes a girl so good at her job, so impossibly kind, so beloved by every patient who ever sat in her chair, that two grown men, two respected doctors, ended up tangled in a friendship neither of them actually had with each other. She told one lie to flatter her employer. Then she had to invent a person to back it up. Then keep that person alive, on the phone, in letters, in gifts, for months, across 2 cities, without the 2 real men ever once standing in the same room. Until the night they finally did. This is a story about a girl who was, by every account, wonderful, generous, brilliant at her work, adored by everyone who met her. And almost nothing she told anyone was true. By the end, you may not be sure if she's actually dead. You may not even be sure that matters. This is Nothing at All from Yumeno Kyusaku's 1936 collection, Hell of Girls, one of the strangest, saddest stories ever written, about a girl who built a whole world out of nothing and then quietly disappeared into it. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Letter. The story is a letter. One doctor, we'll call him Dr. Usuki, is writing to a colleague and former senior at medical school, a man named Dr. Shirataka. They've met exactly once, briefly, at a banquet for fellow alumni of their old university's ear, nose, and throat department. Dr. Usuki runs a small clinic in Yokohama. Dr. Shirataka is a more senior man, an associate professor back at their old school in Tokyo. Dr. Usuki opens with an apology for writing at all. Then he gets to the point. Yuriko Himekusa is dead. She killed herself. And I have to tell you, gently but plainly, that before she died, she spent her last breath cursing both our names. He explains that this single, ordinary-seeming young woman had, through nothing but her own imagination, managed to drag his household, Dr. Shirataka's household, the newspapers, the police, and the Yokohama prosecutor's office into a fog of half-truths so convincing that even now, with her gone, nobody is entirely sure what was real. He owes Dr. Shirataka a full accounting, start to finish. And it starts, he says, with a stranger who walked into his office that very afternoon. It's 1 o'clock. Dr. Usuki is dozing on the waiting room couch after a brutal surgery when the bell rings and a man steps inside without a word. Tall, narrow-faced, dressed head to toe in expensive black, moving like a detective out of a foreign film. He doesn't introduce himself. He simply sets a card on the table. Do you know where Yuriko Himekusa is? Then, after a long, silent stare, a white envelope. Inside is a letter in Yuriko's own trembling hand. Dr. Shirataka, Dr. Usuki, I'm going to end my life. So as not to cause either of you trouble, I will do it quietly at a private women's clinic in Tokyo under Dr. Mandara's care, where it can be recorded as a death from a heart complication during treatment, not as what it really is. You both gave me more kindness than I ever deserved, and your wives never once treated me with anything but love, like a little sister. My small, leftover spirit will spend the rest of its existence guarding the peace of your 2 homes. Once my eyes are closed, everything I ever told you will simply stop mattering. You'll both be free to go back to your good wives, your good homes, and forget I was ever in them. I have no more hope left in this world. People like you can tell a lie and have it become the truth. People like me can tell the truth and have it become a lie. There's no place for a girl like that to live. Goodbye. I'm sorry. Yuriko Himekusa, December 3rd. The stranger introduces himself at last as Dr. Mandara. He explains, Yuriko had been admitted to his clinic in November with a uterine infection, then caught diphtheria from somewhere outside the hospital. She seemed to be recovering, and then, 3 nights ago, she quietly injected herself with morphine. He never called for an inquest. It would have made this letter public, he says. Professional courtesy. Dr. Usuki studies him, the cold composure, the too neat story, and asks the one question that matters. What exactly is your relationship to her? Nothing really, nothing official. Then congratulations, Dr. Usuki says. You're not her judge, you're her victim, same as us. He picks up the phone and calls an inspector in Tokyo, a man named Tamiya, describing a doctor who falsified a death certificate at Yuriko Himekusa's request. Dr. Mandara grabs his hat and cane and flees so fast he leaves the letter behind. He is never seen again in this story. Before he explains how Yuriko came into his life, Dr. Usuki has to explain one more thing. This wasn't her first appearance in print. The spring before, a young woman had repeatedly called police from public telephones across Tokyo, breathless, claiming to be kidnapped, sending squad cars racing to empty houses again and again. A story the papers ran under the headline, The Mystery Girl. Dr. Usuki has come to believe that girl and his nurse are the same person. What follows, he says, is taken from his own diary, written in real time, months before he understood what he was actually documenting. Yuriko had shown up at his clinic the evening before it opened. Modest kimono, bright blue parasol, one small basket, asking almost shyly whether they might need a nurse. A brief, charming interview. Sake brewing family up north, trained at K University's ENT department, an aunt in Shitaya as her guarantor, was all it took. Nobody called to check a single fact. Dr. Usuki admits the real reason he hired her, embarrassing as it is. The moment he saw her slightly flat, unremarkable nose, his surgeon's instincts itched to fix it. He did, within her first week, and the plain, forgettable girl who'd arrived with a basket became, almost overnight, strikingly beautiful. That turned out to be the least surprising thing about her. Her talent as a nurse was uncanny. She anticipated his every move in surgery, read patients' pain before they spoke, healed the whole clinic's mood just by being in the room. Patients stopped asking for Dr. Usuki and started asking for Miss Himekusa. Business boomed. He paid her a generous salary and began, with his wife and sister, quietly discussing whether to raise it again. And it's right there, at the exact high point, with the whole household completely won over, that the first crack appears. Chapter 2. The Doctor Who Didn't Exist. It starts with a joke. Dr. Usuki, cracking wise mid-surgery the way he used to in medical school, and Yuriko laughing. You're just like Dr. Shirataka. He'd never mentioned the name. Dr. Shirataka, a senior figure Dr. Usuki genuinely admired back at K University, a man he hadn't spoken to in years, turns out, according to Yuriko, to still be there, an associate professor now, married to an elegant woman named Kumiko, and apparently fond of telling stories about what a memorable student Dr. Usuki once was. Delighted, Dr. Usuki asks her to arrange an introduction. She hesitates, just a flicker, then agrees. It is, though he won't understand this for months, the exact moment the entire catastrophe is born. One small lie, told to flatter him, wrapped around the name of a real man she genuinely once worked under. A man she now has to keep alive in conversation, indefinitely, to protect the story. 3 months in, a man calls a clinic claiming to be Dr. Shirataka. Warm, talkative, instantly likable. Inviting Dr. Usuki to next month's alumni dinner at the Marinuichi Club. It is not Dr. Shirataka. It's someone reading from a script Yuriko wrote herself. What follows over the next 2 months is one of the strangest sustained performances imaginable, and the person running it gains nothing from it. No money, no favors, just the vertiginous pleasure of being loved for being connected to someone wonderful. Every month, like clockwork, right around the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, something happens involving Dr. Shirataka. He calls. He sends theater tickets, boxes of pastries, letters in unmistakably masculine handwriting. And every single time, at the very last moment, something keeps him from actually meeting Dr. Usuki face to face. A sick wife, a wealthy patient, a sudden cold. Each near miss, Yuriko is more furious on Dr. Usuki's behalf than he is. It's his wife, Matsuko, a devoted reader of detective fiction, who starts to notice what nobody else does. She catches Yuriko unguarded in an empty hallway one afternoon, lost in thought, and for just a second before the girl catches herself, she looks closer to 25 than 19. The tired shoulders of a woman, not a girl. "I don't think you're ever actually going to meet him," Matsuko tells her husband one night. "I think he might not exist at all. I think you're being managed." Dr. Usuki laughs it off, but it nags at him. And so, when the next reunion dinner comes around, he decides, for the first time, to simply go and see for himself. Chapter 3. The Reunion Dinner. The Marinucci Club that night is chaos. Jazz, balloons, men in formal wear already roaring drunk before Dr. Usuki is through the door. A pack of them, stumbling out in paper party hats, spot him standing stiff and out of place in his old-fashioned coat and shout, delighted, "The magician's here! Bit late, pal. The act's already over." Mortified, he nearly leaves. Then the inner doors open and a different man steps through. Tall, thin, balding, formally dressed, comparing a name card against Dr. Usuki's face with a long, cold, unreadable stare. Dr. Usuki recognizes him instantly from an old photograph. This, at last, is the real Dr. Shirataka. "Dr. Shirataka, it's Usuki. Thank you so much for everything." 2 months of warmth behind the handshake he offers. The real Dr. Shirataka doesn't smile. He barely bows, watching Dr. Usuki with the wary confusion of a man being greeted like an old friend by a total stranger. Desperate to fill the silence, Dr. Usuki tries, "And how is your wife? I heard she wasn't well." "My wife? Kumiko? What's happened to Kumiko?" "She collapsed at the department store this morning around 9. The room erupts in laughter. Dr. Shirataka's face goes from confusion straight to fury. "That's strange," he says. "My wife has been home all morning, writing the church newsletter." And then, quietly, the sentence that finally breaks something loose in him. "Yuriko, has she done something again?" He knows her. He's known her the whole time. Before Dr. Usuki can even process it, a waiter comes hurrying up with an urgent call for the doctor from Yokohama, a nosebleed emergency that won't stop bleeding. It's the oldest trick in Yuriko's book, timed to perfection. Humiliated, Dr. Usuki flees the club without another word to anyone. On the train home, his panic curdles into something stranger, a half-formed hope that it was all some elaborate prank. He's wrong, and some part of him already knows it. Walking home from the station in the rain, a voice calls from the dark beside a bridge near his house. Yuriko, umbrella up, pale, oddly composed, falls into step beside him. "Did you meet Dr. Shirataka? Was he pleased?" "No, he was cold, strange. What's going on with that man?" And then, trembling, eyes wet, utterly convincing, she tells him a story. That the real Dr. Shirataka once felt things for her he shouldn't have, back at K University. That she confessed it all to his wife, rather than let it become scandal. That saintly Kumiko took her in out of pure compassion, until jealous rumors forced Yuriko to leave rather than ruin the household's reputation. That's why Dr. Shirataka has spent 2 months refusing to meet him, terrified the truth was finally about to surface. It's an extraordinary performance. Exhausted and half convinced, Dr. Usuki walks the rest of the way home with her words still in his ears. Not yet understanding, he's just been handed the single most elaborate lie of the entire affair. Chapter 4. Red. He gets home past 1 in the morning to find his wife and sister waiting up, pale and clearly terrified. Hours earlier, it turns out, the real Dr. Shirataka had called the clinic, the actual man, warning them about the actual truth. Yes, Yuriko really had worked at K University. Yes, she really was gifted. But she'd also been, even then, an elaborate and habitual liar. Invented romances, a hinted pregnancy by a famous patient, rumors about doctors, until the department finally let her go. Kumiko, genuinely moved to pity, had taken her in afterward, hoping to gently correct the habit through faith and patience. Yuriko found it unbearable and vanished. Months later, she resurfaced by phone, swearing she'd changed, begging Kumiko to keep the past a secret. Kumiko never believed it and had been quietly trying to warn the Yusuke household for weeks. Letters that, it would later turn out, never survived contact with Yuriko's own hands. Unable to sleep, Dr. Usuki rushes out to see an old schoolmate, the newspaperman Uto Sanjuro, and lays out the whole impossible story. Uto's verdict, delivered with total confidence. This is the work of a communist agent. Nobody outside the underground builds covers this airtight. It's absurd, and Dr. Usuki, sleep-deprived and rattled, nods along anyway. Uto insists they go straight to the Special Hire Police. "Do you know who runs the local office?" Uto asks. "Your next-door neighbor, you idiot, Tamiya." Inspector Tamiya hears the whole story at 2 in the morning, without complaint. "Could be a red," he says. The plan: rather than alarm her directly, they'll send Yuriko out on an innocent errand. Dr. Usuki has a large, unwanted gemstone. She can take it to a jeweler's downtown first thing in the morning and have her quietly picked up along the way. It's agreed. Nobody in the house sleeps that night. The plan works exactly as intended. Yuriko sets off, delighted with the errand, and never comes back. A full guilty day later, Tamiya delivers his findings. She's not a red, not even close. Her real family isn't a prosperous sake brewing house at all. They're desperately poor, her real brother having gambled away what little they had before vanishing himself. Her real name isn't Yuriko Himekusa, it's Hori Yumiko, a name and age borrowed from a friend's younger sister's family register, used to enroll in nursing school 6 years earlier, not long after she ran away from home herself at 19. Dr. Usuki collects her that afternoon, and what happens next is the strangest scene in the whole affair. Newly returned from a night in custody, Yuriko launches, unprompted and oddly animated, into a vivid account of her interrogation, far too warm, far too detailed for what should have been a brutal night. Watching her eyes shine with something closer to pleasure than fear, Dr. Usuki finds the nurse Yamauchi and asks one careful question. "How regular is Miss Himekusa's monthly cycle?" "Very regular," the girl says. "Always the start of the month. I do the laundry." That night, his own diary confirmed it. Every single fabrication, every phone call, every manufactured crisis, clustered for months around the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th of the month. He rushes back to Tamiya, who completes the picture. During her night in custody, Yuriko had also told him an elaborate, entirely invented story, a tryst with Dr. Usuki at a hot spring hotel in Hakone, vivid down to the mirrored ceiling, a meeting that never happened. Both men land on the same uneasy diagnosis at once. Not malice, not espionage, a compulsive, cyclical need to be desired and believed, so deep it had organized itself, without her even realizing it, around her own body's calendar. Chapter 5. What Was Left Behind. Dr. Usuki wires the woman listed as Yuriko's guardian, the hairdresser in Shitaya. She arrives that evening, loud and entirely unsentimental, and admits she isn't any relation at all, just a woman Yuriko had once briefly stayed with, talked into the role of guarantor by a girl with a gift for making herself impossible to refuse. One more thing, almost as an afterthought. Neighborhood boys had once teased Yuriko about being the famous mystery girl from the papers, and going through her things afterward, the woman had found every clipping about that case cut out and carefully saved. She collects Yuriko quietly. By the next morning, Yuriko Himekusa is gone. Not just from the household, but from the clinic itself, without a word to anyone. The mechanics come out slowly, in pieces. Dr. Shirataka on the telephone had been a delivery boy from the noodle shop across the street, a former silent film narrator with a gift for voices, working from scripts Yuriko wrote and rehearsed with him in the clinic basement. The letters had been dictated to a scribe who never knew what he was actually writing. And going through the clinic's supplies, Dr. Asuki finds a missing vial of morphine and a syringe. It's the timid nurse Yamauchi who finally confesses the rest, in tears. She'd seen Yuriko take it back in September and said nothing, terrified, after Yuriko turned on her with an expression Yamauchi calls genuinely monstrous, warning her, "I'll have to kill you, and then myself. The moment I'm found out, I'm finished anyway." More than once, in the quiet of the night, Yamauchi had heard her murmuring over and over, "I'm so bored. I want to die. I want to die." In the closing pages of his letter, Dr. Isuki tries one last time to say what he actually believes. Not that she was ever a criminal, that she was something closer to an artist, a woman who built, lie by lie, a small private kingdom where she was finally loved and important, because her real life had never once let her feel either. And that he and Dr. Shirataka, defending their own dignity, hunted that kingdom down and tore it apart, until there was nothing left for her to retreat into at all. She suffered over nothing, and in the end, she died over nothing. She was kept alive by her own imagination, and in the end, it killed her too. That's all there is to it. Goodbye. Please, pray for her. Ending. Yuriko Himekusa, or Yumiko Hori, depending on which version of her you choose to believe, is never seen again by anyone in this story. There's no body recovered by anyone we trust, no inquest, because Dr. Mandera made sure there'd never be one. The only proof she's dead is a letter in her own hand, delivered by a man who vanished the instant the word police came up. And there's one more detail Dr. Suki himself points out, almost as a footnote. Every fabrication this woman ever told had clustered, like clockwork, around the same few days each month. Her suicide note is dated December the 3rd. He doesn't say outright what that means. He doesn't have to. It's the one piece of hard data in the whole account, and it leaves behind an uncomfortable, very Yumeno Kyusaku kind of question. What if the most convincing performance Yuriko Himekusa ever gave was the one announcing her own death? We'll never know. That's rather the point. A girl who spent years turning nothing into something, a plain face into a beautiful one, an absent doctor into a devoted friend, a quiet nurse into the most wonderful girl anyone has ever met, gets, in the end, a death nobody can actually verify happened at all. Nothing at all, just like the title says. If this kind of story is your kind of strange, you'll find a lot more from the same writer, Yumeno Kyusaku, one of early 20th century Japan's strangest and most haunting minds, best known for his sprawling novel, Dogra Magra. This story is the opening piece in his short collection, Shōjo Jigoku, Hell of Girls. 2 more stories follow it, each about a different young woman undone in her own way by the people around her. Thanks for listening. See you in the next one.